What if history didn't forget the truth? What if it avoided it? There is one question so dangerous that civilizations collapsed rather than answer it. And if you stay until the end of this video, you'll understand why this question was never meant to be asked. History is often described as a memory of humanity, but memory is never neutral. Every civilization chooses what to remember and what to erase. What survives is not always what mattered most, but what was allowed to remain. Victories are celebrated, defeats are minimized, and uncomfortable truths are quietly removed. Over time, this process becomes invisible. Generations grow up believing the story they inherit is complete, when in reality it is carefully edited. The most dangerous elements are rarely events or people. They are ideas. And among all ideas, questions are the most destabilizing. A single question can unravel centuries of tradition, faith, and authority. History doesn't forget these questions. It learns how to bury them. Across continents and centuries, one question surfaced again and again. It appeared in early philosophy, spiritual teachings, myths, and oral traditions. It was rarely written down, but often whispered. What gives one human being the right to rule another? This question did not belong to a single culture. It appeared in ancient Greece, in Eastern philosophy, in indigenous societies, and in early religious debates. Whenever societies matured enough to reflect on power, the question emerged naturally. And whenever it emerged too clearly, those who asked it faced silence, exile, or death. Not because the question was false, but because it was too honest. In the early stages of civilizations, questioning authority was sometimes tolerated. Thinkers were debated, philosophers were challenged, and ideas were tested. But as power centralized, tolerance vanished. Kings, emperors, and ruling classes learned that obedience depended on certainty. Once people began asking why, authority weakened. Doubt spread faster than rebellion. So questioning became criminalized, not openly, but strategically. Thinkers were labeled dangerous, immoral, heretical, or unstable. Their ideas were reframed as threats to order. History remembers their punishments, but often forgets the questions they dared to ask. Empires do not survive by truth. They survive by stability. Stability requires unquestioned authority. If power must constantly justify itself, it becomes fragile. Laws become negotiable. Loyalty becomes conditional. So empires developed systems to avoid answers entirely. Myths that glorified rulers. Traditions that normalized obedience. Laws that punished doubt. The question of legitimacy was never solved. It was postponed indefinitely. And postponement became policy. One of the most effective ways to silence the question was to remove it from human debate altogether. If rulers were chosen by gods, then questioning them became blasphemy. Authority was no longer political, it was sacred. Doubt was no longer logical, it was sinful. This transformed obedience into morality. People no longer obeyed because they were convinced. They obeyed because they were afraid, not of rulers, but of eternal consequences. The question didn't disappear. It was pushed beyond reach. There are strange silences in historical records. Moments where debates stop, where reforms vanish, where revolutions are hinted at but never explained. These gaps are not accidents. They mark moments when the question became too dangerous. Instead of answering it, civilizations removed it from the record. New dynasties appeared without justification. Laws changed without explanation. Resistance faded without resolution. Silence became the final answer. Despite suppression, the question never truly died. It moved underground into folklore, songs, parables, and oral traditions. It disguised itself as myth. It hid behind metaphors. It passed quietly from generation to generation. People learned how to ask without speaking, how to remember without writing, how to doubt without revealing it. Every culture that survived oppression carried fragments of the question forward, waiting for a time when it could be spoken again. Here's the truth history avoids confronting. There is no safe answer to the question. Any attempt to justify absolute power eventually collapses. Bloodlines fail, strength fades, divine claims fracture under scrutiny. No system can prove permanent legitimacy. Answering honestly would mean admitting that authority is conditional and temporary. That realization threatens every structure built on permanence. So history chose avoidance over honesty. Every civilization that allowed the question to spread faced instability, not chaos, awareness. Awareness dissolves blind obedience. People begin to think critically. Power becomes accountable. Hierarchies weaken. This frightened rulers more than rebellion ever could. Rebellions can be crushed. Ideas cannot. So history learned to remove the thinkers instead of answering them. Here is the question history never answered and still avoids today. Why should anyone have absolute power over another human being? Not because the answer is unknown, but because the answer dismantles every empire that accepts it. History didn't forget this truth. It hid it. And the fact that the question still unsettles us proves it was never truly erased. Thank you for watching until the end. If this question made you uncomfortable, write your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and we'll continue exploring the truths history tried to avoid.